Hello, friend. Welcome to another episode of the Mount Rushmore of everything. Today, we are covering comic strip characters. I think this one is non-negotiable. It is probably the most clear of all. If not, it's the second most clear of all. It is not a character named after its comic, but it is easily the or one of the most iconic comic book characters ever, and that is Snoopy.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
I agree. It's also a non-negotiable of mine.
Okay, cool. It has the most Macy's Day Parade appearances of any character, not any comic strip character, any character, period.
Wow.
So we're including SpongeBob and Pikachu and all that. And yes, I know Snoopy's existed for longer, but 38 different appearances, which is only one of 3 different comic strip characters that have ever showed up as a balloon in the Macy's Day Parade. So I don't know if I clarified this, but this is a balloon in the Macy's Day Parade. So it's been off and on since 1968. Most unique variants of any character as well. There's 8 total different Snoopy balloons. One of 17 fictional characters with a Hollywood Walk of Fame star, and the only one from a comic strip.
Right.
Probably a big part of why Beagles are so iconic even, right? Like if you think of the quintessential Beagle character, it's not Underdog, it's not Shiloh.
You can even take it a little further and think of iconic dog characters.
Oh yeah.
And he's probably going to be easily top 5, I would think.
Oh, absolutely. I'd probably argue number 1.
Just very, very well-rounded character that in the animated cartoons didn't speak. But in the comic strip, you did see his thoughts.
Yeah.
And he would talk with Woodstock. He had all the narration of the Red Baron or all of the other adventures that he had in his head. You could see what he was saying.
Give us the second one.
All right. Well, this is where it gets tricky.
Okay.
I'm just going to go and say Charlie Brown.
I agree.
Oh, well, good. The presence that Peanuts has had through the years as a comic strip, it pretty much defined what a comic strip is. Not that it set out to do that, but that's by excellence. That is the comic strip and gave us so many wonderful characters. But Charlie Brown as the lead of the comic strip, he's part of pop culture.
Oh, yeah, huge. Actually, one of the 3 comic strip characters that have a Macy's Day Parade balloon. Been there since 2002. I understand some people might be upset that we're double dipping already, but you have to realize just how important and how iconic so many characters from Peanuts are. So, that brings us to a third one.
Third one.
I think we'll agree on this one, but we'll see. This one is actually my second non-negotiable.
Okay.
Garfield.
So those were my 3 non-negotiable.
Oh, you had 3 non-negotiables.
Yes.
Okay, I consider Charlie Brown borderline. Garfield, the character, is that third Macy's Day Parade balloon for 18 total years, so more than Charlie Brown, so second only to Snoopy out of the 3. Been there from 84 to 89, then again from 92 to 99, and 2003 to 2006. And then I thought, if I just think comic strip characters, Snoopy's probably that first one to come to mind. And then I think Garfield is honestly that next one. And it may seem a little odd that when I think Peanuts, Snoopy is the first one, even over Charlie Brown. But Garfield, it's even more obvious why one would think Garfield, because it's even named after Garfield. Yeah. And then movies. Garfield has had a bunch of movies.
End of the 80s, it was pretty big for Garfield. It started like, boom. It was Garfield everywhere, and you had the little Garfield doll in your car with the suction cups. It was just hanging on to it.
Those are still big in the 90s, because I remember as a kid seeing those all the time still. So to that point, though, that's part of what makes Garfield so iconic, right? Is it was everywhere. Maybe even more than Snoopy. I wouldn't go that far, I don't think. But honestly, if there's one character that has the most stuffed animals, has the most things to go on cars, I could hear an argument that it's Garfield. And you know what? It's definitely more Garfield than I think any other character. I think the only one it's competing with is Snoopy. Because as iconic as Charlie Brown is, you don't have stuffed Charlie Browns generally. Give us the last one. Let's see if we can 4 for 4 this thing.
Okay, so I'm going to have to go with Calvin.
Interesting. Okay.
Comparing Calvin and Hobbes as a comic strip and Calvin the character with Garfield, he was the total opposite when it came to merchandise his character. He said, no.
Yeah.
It's just a comic strip. So this is a true comic strip that you're gonna have a hard time finding any Calvin and I mean, there shouldn't be, other than the books, the compilations, there shouldn't be shirts, mugs. There are, but it's not official Calvin and Hobbes.
Which is interesting because that sort of is the other route of arguing this, which is everybody knows those characters without the advantage of having all of the merchandise, right? Like, people could know Garfield and could know Snoopy and even could know maybe Charlie Brown out of the context of the comic strip character that they are. You don't when it comes to Calvin and Hobbes. Like, you know them for the one thing that they're in. Right. Which is a pretty strong argument.
And it's done. He just like Peanuts is done because he died, so he stopped doing it. But he just willingly decided, I'm done. I'm finishing. This is the whole work. So there you have it.
This is going to be an interesting one because this is the first time I think we have a situation akin to what we're about to have. Because I actually went with the other side of that coin, and I went with Hobbes.
Aha!
So
well, then we're going to start
a very interesting discussion.
Really?
Because I actually went with Hobbes because I thought when it came to iconic, especially as somebody who is removed from the strip.
Wow.
I thought to myself, I know that stuffed tiger look.
Yeah.
And that to me is the image that sticks in my brain. If I were to have a stuffed animal, it would be that one. Calvin, the iconicness in the appearance isn't there as much for me as it is with Hobbes. And I knew it was probably going to be one of those two. At the end of the day, it felt like you either go to a third Peanuts character. I don't think any of the Garfield is the true rock of Garfield when it comes to iconic. And then a lot of the other comic strips just don't have the power that Calvin and Hobbes has. And then especially just when I picture comic strip characters, a part of it comes from like, what are the ones I thought of right away? And then let me see, what is the objective data out there that I can find, like the Macy's Day Parade thing. And this is sort of the point in the list where there's not much in the way of objective outside of like, you look at some top 10 lists and Ranker and stuff like that. So so I actually went with Hobbes. I don't really necessarily have anything outside of, to me, I thought it was the more iconic of the two, especially when it came to appearance.
The reason why I picked Calvin over Hobbes was that Hobbes is a result of Calvin's imagination. He wouldn't have the personality that he has and how fun he is if he wasn't for Calvin. So I think I was just looking at reasons why pick one over the other. I'm okay. Either one.
I think this would depend on more inside the niche or not. If I were to guess, people who have read it are going to side with you because there's more of the context of who was really the more important character. And if you had to choose, I fully consent that must have been Calvin. Because again, like you said, Hobbes is just Calvin inserting the personality into him. Now you could argue that in the context of the strip, yes, it was that, but really it was a character all of its own. Yeah, okay, fine. But for me, as having never read hardly any of it, the appearance became a little more important. And the one that, like, when I picture it in my head, I picture Hobbes and then, like, Calvin's like a little blonde boy, I think, right? Like I know, but it's more fuzzy to me compared to the Hobbes, which is a very clear, like, stuffed tiger. Let us know what you think in the comments below. We like to hear what your thoughts are. Let us know what your for are. Let us know why. Be sure to subscribe. Click that little notification bell so you know when videos come out, because they come out every single Thursday. If you haven't, drop a like because you made it to the end of the video. Of course you liked it. Thank you again for watching. We appreciate all of you, and we will talk to you next time.
My dad's office. This is not a normal office. This is a magician's office. So it's a mess. There's all kinds of everything everywhere. It's so hectic.
Rabbits.
Oh, yeah.
Bouncing around.
Yes.
Bouncing around. Rabbits bounce, they hop.
Something floating in the air when you open the door. And
birds
it falls
in little
down.
cages.
Yeah.